Okay, I think it's better just to go for the homework because in a long time I didn't have any feedback in homeworks. The homework for you. And then no package. Package. Let's copy and paste the previous source. Copy, paste, factor, and okay, add another one. Start. Let me move the source 3 actually. Okay. Added, and it is a hello 3. Good. So what's the question? So in the math equation class, implement the accessors, mutators for the class properties if it is needed. So what is the math equation class? We'll go to math equation class here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 properties. So what we can do is right click here or use the control insert and use the alt insert then and the getters and mutators and then implement the getter and setter for the class for now. Okay, for now. So this is all the getters and the setter that can be implemented for this class. What's the next? In math equation class, implement the required constructors and chain them together. So what is the math equation class again? So let's, okay. So what we can do here is implement the record constructors and we change again. We need some constructor for this, and the constructor can be of operation code, for example, which will be the right click, again the generator, constructor. I just want to implement it with the okay. So I can implement another constructor here again for the math equation class, which will take the char as the opcode put and take another double, which is the left value, and another double, which is the right value. And here I can set the this dot left value which is equal to the left value. So, and the right value, which is the right value. So here we mentioned that implement the required constructor and change them together. You shall pay attention to constructor access modifier, public and the private when you are implementing also. Okay. So what I can do is that, for example, use the first modifier and send the opcode to it. I use it. I don't want to use this modifier publicly anyway, which will be the private. Good. So again, I can have another constructor. So for now, I can, for example, put it public. I just want to use another constructor also, which will be the public math equation without any implementation. Good. So I can change this again with the previous constructor, which doesn't have any implementation. In your previous what's the next one? In the main method, instead of using create method, which you implement in assignment 2, you shall use the math equation class constructor, which you have developed in step 1 and step 2, to instantiate the object in the main method. So, and let's read this part. Instead of using double array, you have used in assignment 1 and assignment 2, you shall implement 4 operations and show the result in the output as below. So let's do this part first, and then we will go for the second, third part. So let's go for the math equation. So first you should change this code to use the create, aren't you? So we have the create method over here. So instead of this line, I can say that, okay, I have it. So first I implement this code for the homework assignment 2. Then I will change it for the homework assignment 3, which was the new math equation class that has 4 different operations. Here we asked that for 4 different operations. Okay. And these 4 different operations can be essentially like this. For example, the equation which 1, 0. And I'm going to use it like this. And the first equation, what is the first equation? I will put it in this monitor. Okay. The first equation is 1 and 10 down, which is double. Okay. Then the 50, which is double again, and it's a divide. Good. The second one is the same for so the next equation will be again using the create, and instead of 100 it's like 25, which is double. The right value is 92, which is double again, and the operation code is n. The third one is the right value is 225, which is double. Right value is 70, 17, and for this transaction. And this is the second one, this is the third. The last one, right value is 11, left value is 11, right value is 3, which is double again, and the operator is multiplication. Okay. And what we want to do here after this, so this is the result. The result should be like this, okay? So we have now 4 different operations. We don't need the right value, left value, good. And we don't need this length, good. And we don't need this right, good. We don't need this left value, right value, good. We don't need this right green line also. So again, what we want to do now is just, so here we don't need this, good. And we don't need this part also. I just have the create method and here the, but in the math equation class, what I have here is an execute method, isn't it? And my math equation class can implement, and how can I execute that method? Easily. Like a for with a for each, and I want to do a loop on my equation, and the equation will be the equation item, which will be on the equation. Okay. And for each equation that I created, I can execute it with a execute method. So this execute method has a bad convention. It can be like this, and it will be the execute. And then I need the result for it. The result should be like this. So the result equal 100. For example, each of this, like in the order. Okay, so what I need is just like a print statement, and the print statement should show the result and an equal sign, which will the result is equal to, and yeah. And the last part will be what? System. The equation dot using the mutators gets result. Okay. So I just use the get result, okay? But let's go to the third part now. So I have the results now. Let's just run it and see the result. Good. 2 on 17, 208, 33. Okay. So we have the same result. But again, the task is not finished yet. Why? Because we need to use the, so instead of this create method, I should use my my constructor, shouldn't I? But let's, before go to the constructors that we developed first. So we developed the math equation. With the math equation, here we with the mutators that we developed and the accessors that we developed, we can just do this here. So it will be the equation O math equation dot set left value, which is the left value. O math equation dot set right value and set the right value. Good. And again, the O math equation dot set the opcode. Opcode. Good. Okay. Under the indentation. L. So again, this will work good. Get this. But here in the requirement of the homework assignment, I think that instead of using create method, which you implement in the assignment 2, you shall use the math equation class constructor, which you have implemented in step 1 and 2. Instantiate the objects in the main method. So I should instantiate my object in the main method instead of instantiating them in here. So I have the new here, I have everything here, okay? So I should do this. Look at here. So I will just copy and paste this part in here. So not lose this right here. I can just use the new math equation, take the operation, which is D, then the right value, which is 100, then the 50, which is double again. Okay. This is the first equation. The second equation will go the same. And what I should do here is just change the first and so now instead of using the create method, which was like this, I'm using the constructors, which take 3 arguments as an input. So I'm not using the setters and the getters here. I don't need them. So this create method shall be deleted. Okay. Set method, I use the set here. I don't use it anymore, and I don't need this part anymore. So your code will be like this, but what I use here is just this part, which is the no. So I use this in here. I use this in here, and I use this in the main code. So I need it. What I don't need, I didn't use the get left, delete, set left, delete, get right, delete, set right, delete, get result. Yes, I did it. I did use it here. Okay. How about the set result? No, I didn't. Get operation code. I didn't. Set operation code. I didn't. Good. So this was all about this code. Just one. Okay. Let's just think about that. So I have everything here. Let's make a constructor here, which is a math equation, and make a test math equation, which is a new math equation. Good. Okay, it's working. Then let's just try the test.execute. I can test it, huh? Then let's just try the out and write the result for this. Result is equal plus the test dot get results. First, I need to make it this part comment, run it to show you the good result of your homework. Okay, this is the result of the homework, and this is the record one. And if it is needed, this mutators and getters, it means this. So you don't need any type of mutators because you already have a good constructor, which is chaining to another constructor, which is chaining to another constructor. So I just need this. But let's think about that. You have a math equation class. Another problem that can arise up here is that your code should be consistent. So this code doesn't have any error. Look at here. Invalid operation code 0 and the finish the result, the exit code. Okay, so this 0 is good, but this part is not very reasonable here. So instead of this, instead of letting the program to show this to the user, we should do something to make the code a little bit more consistent. What we can use is just putting the initial good values for it. Like for example, and so let's run it again. Good. You see, result 0. So it's not mandatory to develop this part, but you already know how to initialize how to use the initialization for your classes and your properties to use the knowledge. So, and a smart developer will put this type of initialization to avoid that type of error. So that's part of the implicit error handling. So you develop this little code to just prevent that result. You show the result 0, but you show the errors also, but you don't need to show the errors. So I just put the operation code here. Okay, good. So any question about this? No. How many people develop their code like this?
I did mine similar, but I didn't write the equations as an array. So I wrote like math equation, and then I called it like division, and then I printed out the results, and then I did like 4 new math equations like that, but just not as an array.
Yeah, that's fine also. That's fine also. So the reason that I use the array is just to make the code a little bit more consistent. So, you develop like this part 4 times, didn't you? You develop this part instead of
I had to write
it like 4.
Yeah.
So, you just write it one time.
Actually, I called the execute function in the getter, so I wrote that once. But then, I did like the printout 4 different times. Yeah.
So another thing that you should take care about is that this sentence. In math equation class, implement the required constructor and chain them together. You shall pay attention the constructor's access modifier, public or private, when you are implementing them also. So what does it mean? It means that, okay, I'm just using this constructor. So the other constructors shouldn't have any accessors, okay? Because I don't have any accessors embedded mutators. So there will be private. Good. And now I can access this part. Good. But although I couldn't access this part, I should leave this part of the code like this. Good. So I just delete it. And my code is like 14 line here, and 48 line here, 50 line here. I run it again. So is it clear now how to change the mutators and accessors, how to use the mutators and accessors for the class properties, and how to develop the constructors for the class and chain them together, and how to use the access modifier in a good way, and also how to code as much as you can. You should just reduce your code as much as you can. As far as you're not sacrificing the readability of the code, you should reduce the amount of your code. Good. So, any question? How many people did this?
Mine was bulkier. I didn't do private. I didn't think about that. And then I left my getters and setters in the code just in case I thought I'd use them. I didn't delete them out.
So, you're not going to lose any points, okay? So this is the best practice of developing this type of code. So, my code is so less than other people's code, maybe, Why? Because it's so clear. I just need this function, this function, this function, and all of these functions are using. You see, all of them are not like blur.
Professor, what if we chained other, like, so I did the chain, but I didn't do my, so your first one was like the null constructor, and then I did one that was like a constructor of left and right value, and then my third constructor was left, right, and then opcode. That was my chain.
That's another way to developing.
So it's okay that way.
Yeah, for sure it's okay. Okay, so it will get the same results, but
Yeah.
what is important here is here that okay, if you want to do very basic things, very basic operation, you will do it in here. That it will affect all type of construction. If you are doing some modification according to the opcode, you will do it here. But if you need all of the three operators and you want to do some initialization for it, you will do it here. So your code will be split in three different constructor, and your code readability will increase. Okay, so this is all about this homework. Let me just commit it. Okay, commit it now. Push it. Okay, merge it. Are we good? Good. Okay. Okay, let's go for the homework 4. So everyone is good here? Okay.
Are we going to have lecture today, or are we doing homework review?
We are going to homework review after the homework 4. I will start the rest of the stream part.
Why?
Oh, sorry?
What happened?
Nothing happened. So we need a package over here, packaging code. I think that, it's been a long time that you need some like a little bit correction on your homeworks, so everyone will be in the same rail with me. Homework 4. Good. So again, I will copy and paste the previous homework. Homework 4. Good. And in homework 4, I need to refactor this part. It will be the homework 4 midterm. What was the convention? Midterm project or midterm?
Midterm project.
Okay.
No source.
Midterm project source. Okay, good.
No source.
No source? Uh-huh.
I lied. There's source. I thought that was the project. No, keep it, keep it. I thought that was the package name, not the file name.
Okay. Okay. So cancel. But the package name was different, huh? Package name was midterm project. Like this?
Yes.
Midterm. Okay. Right. Okay. So we have the homework 4 here. And now everything is okay. Let's go for the homework 4 now. Okay. So this assignment is going to evaluate your knowledge about method overloading and inheritance. Good. So the overloading part in math equation class, implement a constructor which takes the operator character as an input. In math equation class, implement a new overload for executing method which take two double input left execute method left or value and right value and calculate the results. Okay. So first, what we need is implement a constructor which take the operator character as an input. In here, we already have it as an input. We just need it public. So here for the first part. The second part.
Hey, Professor, quick question.
Go ahead.
Homework 5, is it due Thursday or Friday?
Thursday. Thursday, 11:59.
Damn it. Okay.
Okay. So this was the first part. Now we have an execute method. In the second part is asking that implement in math equation class, implement a new overload for execute method which takes two double input left value and right value and calculate the result. Okay, let's go for it. So I have another void execute which take the two double, which is the left value, and double, which is the right value. What was the description for the next? And calculate the result. Good. So I have the left value, right value, and I have another constructor over here that is the constructor of the class. So what I should do is setting them, huh? So, for example, think about that you have a new, for example, equation here. So I'm doing this without changing the previous code. So I just implemented like this equation overload, and which is the new math equation, and take a, for example, opcode that is D, good, and it is public, good. And after that, I have the equation overload again, and I want to use this execute, which is the left value and the right value. I don't have any left value, right value, so I need to, for example, sample like the double, which is the, for example, 9 B and the double, for example, right, double or DBO doesn't matter. Yeah, 0, the conventions are clear. So I just pass the left value and the right value to X. And what I need is just calculate the result. Just for example, the out again. Let me check it at my technique after here. And then in math equation class, implement a new overload for execute method, which take 2 integer input and calculate the results. So it's another overload again. In the first part, so in here that I developed this part, here it says that okay, create a new class and name it homework for midterm source that I have it and contain the main method. Homework for midterm source. So it has the midterm source. Good. And here is the refactor again. Midterm source. Good. So it's good now. And then in midterm source class, use the constructor you developed in step one, to instantiate the math equation class. Use the execute method you developed in step 2 here, which takes 2 double input as the left value and the right value, and show the result in the output. Okay, let's take this 2 part first. Put it out here. Good. So 9 and 4, which is 9 and 4, and the left, I use the constructor, set the execute, and then print the results for this. So for the result, it will be using the overload, okay, which is the print line using overload. Good. And then it has some line over there and at the bottom of it. Good. Then I need to execute it. Just put this on top of it. I don't feel good about it. Good. Now I can execute. After I execute it, I have it out, and the result, for example, is equal. Okay, no space, nothing, and J out, and I will just show the equation overload dot get result. Okay. For the first part, so I need a 954. It should be the 2.25. Okay, good. Let's run it. The result, if there is any result. Okay, symbol not fine. What is this? Well, I will put this in here. Clean lecture 16. GO 1275.7. Someone put it here. I'll develop in the main method. Good. Nice. Okay, just actually not think about this time. Okay, using overload, nothing. Using overload, result, get result, nothing. So there is another result. Why? Because in here, in the execute method, after I have the left value, I didn't set that. The left value is equal to left value. The right value should be assigned to the right value. Then, again, changing the constructors here. What was here? Calculate the results. So again, I can use execute, the first overload of the method, and I run it again, and I get the result. $2.25. Now in the second part, it's asking us to set the, in the math equation class, implement a new overload for execute method which takes two integer inputs and calculate the result. So in the math equation, what I should develop here is, so again, I have another execute method which is void and execute with the same name, but here it will take two integers as a left value and the double right value. Okay. And okay, I will set, and it's asking me, so it has some, for example, left value and the right value, which are the, and calculate the result. Let's do it. So it is this dot left value again, which is left value, and this.
So you have one integer parameter and one double parameter.
Sorry.
Okay.
Right. And then do the execute. So, and then it's asking me that in homework for source, the constructor you developed in step 1 to instantiate a math equation class, use the execute method you developed in step 3, means this step, which take two integer inputs as left value and right value and show the result in the output. So my left value is 4, and again they are the same. So I should have two integers. Okay. So here I need two integers, that is the left int is equal 9, and another int which is right int which is equal 4. Good. And here I will show the results. So I can use the same overload. It means, so I'm doing the same, actually operation. I can use that first math equation. So it is the equation again, dot execute. But in this execute, I will send two integers, that is the left int and the right int, and this one. So again, the same. Good. Let's see the result. Okay, 225 again. So here the inputs are integer. So the result should be integer again, shouldn't it? So how can I do this? Not so complicated. When I execute it, I can do this. Result is equal and result. Okay. So let's try. Nice. I take care of that part also.
Professor, if I didn't cast it and I just wrote two constructors, one being a double constructor, one being an int constructor, is that okay too?
One a double constructor, one an int constructor.
Yeah.
So, according to the workflow of the homework, it's not very rational. So you develop like two constructors, one constructor for the double that takes the up code, but here is just using the one operation code, like
Right.
for the constructor, here. So we are just using one constructor and using two different overloads for the operations. So you develop like one constructor that takes the D and left and double valued, and another constructor that takes the integer value.
I did, yeah.
And how was the result? Your result was like this?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
They're fine actually, So, but this was the purpose of the homework, to using like I just developed one constructor. I used it for different operations, and different operation had two different types. I take care of both of them with one constructor, okay? So I think it was all for this. Yep. So this was the first part of your midterm project. So how many people developed it like this?
Nope.
No one?
Find out.
I had like two execute methods that took in, one execute method took in doubles, one execute method took in ints. I didn't put together the chaining part. I couldn't put it together, so it was kind of hacked, I guess.
I see. So you couldn't put together like this parts, huh?
Yeah, I didn't piece that together. I don't, looking at this now, it makes sense, but I didn't piece it together at the time.
Yeah,
like I was thinking
know.
of chaining with constructors, and you're kind of chaining some methods. I don't know why I didn't put it together. It makes sense now, but I got the same values. I just didn't do it that way.
There are so many people that will have so much trouble with this casting. You saw that how I did it very easily, just with two princesses. It wasn't like a big deal. So it's just a matter of looking at codes as much as possible to extract the knowledge out of them. So it doesn't matter how much smart you are, but it does matter how many codes you can read and you can understand daily. So
can I take a look at your?
I'm sorry.
Can I take a look at your SQ method?
Yeah. So that was all for this part. So let's go to the inheritance part. So for the inheritance part, what we are going to do, second part. Implement a class name calculate base. This class is going to be the base for all 4 types of operation of your calculator. So it will be like just like this. Start needed. What was the name of the class? Calculate base. Calculate base. You had a question about this calculate base, I think, Brian, today. Let's see then, how is it? So this is a base class. This class is going to be the base for all 4 operations of your calculator. In the calculate base class, add 3 properties, left value, right value, and the result, which are doubles. Let's do it. 3 properties. So I have private double left value, private double right value, another one, private double results. Good. Next part, implement accessors and mutators for all 3 properties. Good. Control insert, alt insert. Good. Constructors, getters, set of mutators. All for 3. Finish. Control I. Good. So 3 different properties. Getter, setter for the all of them. 6 different methods. The next part. So what will be the next part? Implement a constructor which takes 2 inputs, left value and right value. So as you see that how I develop a constructor, let's develop it. Two constructors, isn't it? But the first constructor that you need is a null constructor, as I told you. So it will be a public constructor. Let's do it like this. Constructors, a null constructor first. Select null. Good. Again, I need the second part of insert, the constructor for the with 2 variables, left value, right value. And again, we know from the chaining part that we should change the first constructor with the second constructor. Good. And left value and right values. Good. and implement the avoid abstract method and name it calculate. In calculate base, implement a void abstract method and name it a calculate. So I need a calculate class, which is void abstract method. Public abstract void calculate. Good. So this abstract has some problem. Abstract method in non-abstract class. So this class should be abstract also. Good. No errors. In calculate base, implement an abstract class that we developed it. Implement a class named adder, which inherit from calculate base class, and implement addition in its calculate method. So what I need here is an adder class, which is inheriting from calculate base class. So I add another class named adder. I want to add it, and it's extending the calculate base class. Good. And I want to implement its method, which is the calculate method. And what I should do here, I should implement the calculate method for it, and it will be the double, which is the value, which is the so I know that I have a left value and the right value, so I will use the getters and the setters of the base class. Get left value plus get the right value. Okay. So I have the results now, so I just need to set result. Good. Which will be the value. Easy peasy. But there's a big but here. So implement another code which implement the calculate base class and implement the addition and its method. What you just need to do this for sure now. So you need to take care of the constructors of it, which are the insert constructor. Good. Okay. The null constructor of it, and then you want to use the a constructor that implement two, which implement the two variables. So you need this one too. Okay. So this is the right way of implementing the adder, which is so you have the constructor that was a null constructor. You should have it. And you have another constructor that takes two inputs, and now you have it, and just pass it to the superclass. So there isn't any other way, other ways, I think, like any other good ways at least. So what is the next part? The next part is the subtractor, and inherit from the calculate base class and implement the subtraction in its calculated base. Good. So I need the subtractor again class. That is the subtractor. Okay. I want to add it. I want to extend it from the calculate base class. And thank you. Again, I have a double value, which is the get left value plus get right value, and it is a subtraction. It's a minus, and I have the result to set the result in the value. Done with this part, but not with all of it. So here is saying that, okay, never use, calculate, subtract is never used. I know that because I didn't use it for now. So I need to use the constructors again, base constructor, other constructor, to input the constructor, good. Not a good convention, should be like this. So the development will have a good definition with
I
these.
got a question.
Go ahead.
So the first constructor,
The first constructor, what about the first constructor? What about first constructor? Hello? Okay. So let's go for the next part. So we need to develop another multiplier class, which is the multiplier, and it's again implementing the inheriting from the calculate base class, and the calculate base class should implement the calculate method. Again, I need a double value, and I need the get left value and multiply it with the get right value. I have the value in the result in the value, so that I will set the result with the value. Okay. Again, I need the constructor here. The constructor for this one. Again, the other constructor for the second one. So I need another, I think, divider. So, and the divider is the same as the previous ones, okay? And it's inheriting from the calculate base class, and should implement the method calculate. Again, I need a double values. Okay. Choose the value again. Get the left value and get the right value, and set the results of the value. But be careful if
Professor, I have a quick question for you. When you wrote set results, I'm sorry, I must have like missed something for a second. What did you write in the calculate base in order for you to retrieve that information, or are we not there yet? I might have missed something.
so. You want to set the results in where?
So we set the results in the calculate, and then in the main, that will be when we call it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You will set the results in the main. So you calculate the result, and where do you save it?
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So you calculate the result, but you should have it in somewhere. So it means that you use the calculate method in the main method, and then in the main method set the results in the main method. So where is the object-oriented part of it? If you want to do it and do everything in the main method, it's just like the structural programming, you know?
Right.
Yep. So I'm coding the same thing like 4 times, and this is the last part, and I'm just looking at here, and if, for example, the get left value is equal is equal 0, just set result as 0 and return to just provide avoid the division by 0.
That shouldn't be a right value.
About the right value, oh, get left. Oh, yeah, it should be right value. So, thank you. Okay, so now
I have a question. If you
Go
call
ahead.
calculate, won't you still? It'll still, because you're not actually changing get right value, so you'll still throw an exception because you're still doing a division by 0. Oh no, the return statement. Never mind. Never mind.
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
So you always take care of your exceptions at the first part of your code, so you don't let your code to reach this part. Okay, so it's a technique. You should use it like always. Take care of the exception first, then go to the main code. That doesn't have any problem. Okay, so that was the inheritance part. Now, what you asked here is that in homework 4 midterm source class, define an array calculate base class containing 4 elements and name it calculators. Good. So let's go for this one. So I will go to this part, and I have this math equation class. I want to use this math equation class actually. No, let's do this like this. So what you ask is like make a calculator based array and name it as calculators, which is equal to 4 different elements. I should be initialize the array with 4 different instantiation of classes which you have been implemented in step 4, 5, 6, 7 as below. Divider 150, 2592, 225, 17, 11, 3. So it's the same value as before, okay? So what I need to do is just cut paste. What is this? This is a divider, okay? It's a divider. I don't need this anymore because it's a divider. Why it has some problem? Expected 0 arguments. So divider, okay, mix together this. Alt insert constructor, base constructor, control alt insert constructor. Thank you. Let's go for here. Good. The second part is I think the adder part. Good. I'll make it a little bit fancy. The adder, good. Sorry, I don't need you anymore. The third part, and the adder part, I'm done with this part. This part. Now it's the subtraction. So I don't need part of you. And it's a subtractor. Thank you. And the last one is the multiplier. Good. Now we're good. Okay, we have our. Let's go to the question again. Calculate the results for the operations by calculated method. Print the result of operation. Okay, we have to calculate just like the previous type one. Again, I have an array. Okay, but here my array is the calculator, and so I have the calculate. Sorry, I have an array of calculate base. I have the calculator, and here I have the calculator, and I'm using the execute method. No, calculate method. I developed the calculate method for all of them. I have the result now. I can get the result by just get result. Good. Awesome. Good. Now let's try it. I have the 224. Okay, let's. But I need another part too. So here was the overload part. I need this one. The using inheritance. So just like the previous part, copy and paste this part. Put it in here. Inheritance. No, if I. Yeah. Okay. So let's do it. Okay. For the inheritance part, I have 117, 208, 33. And the required result was 117, 208, 33. You shall submit your code, including the homework of 4 midterm Java, math equation, calculate base. Okay, math equation, calculate base. So I'm using all of them, aren't we? Get here. And the calculate base. Okay. Follow the math equation. And the subtractor, multiplier, divider in your home. So this is all about midterm. Meet homework for midterm source. Meet push.
So is this midterm really 15%, or is it just 100 points, just a homework grade?
15%? What do you mean? Well, 15%.
On your syllabus, you mentioned the midterm is 15% of the grade. So is this homework for 15% of our grade, or just a homework assignment?
Actually, it's not 15%. Yeah, you know, this homework assignment is like 15% of your grade. Yep, it's so easy, you know, isn't it? So the math equation moved from. Check it. The math equation. Okay, good now. Oh. Okay, I need previous math equation class. Okay, before I submit this part, let's go to my GitHub. I have a copy of the previous one. Oh my God. So you have any question about homework assignment 4? How many people did it like this? No one?
The inheritance part I did, but the overloading part, I didn't think to chain it. I read the directions kind of like I interpreted like the first 2 steps as create 2 separate execute methods, and I didn't think about chaining.
Yep. I understand.
Same here.
Same there?
Yeah, I read it as 2 separate methods as well. I didn't think about chaining either.
Oh.
Do you want us
Sorry?
you want us to push homework 3 and homework 4?
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, you should do it actually.
Okay.
Good. Edit. Here. I mistakenly cut the code from my previous.
Are you going to upload the ones you did?
Yeah, this is the ones that I did like previously, but I cut it in this folder, in the homework 4 folder, you know, mistakenly. So I'm committing them again. Okay. Get work 3 source commit. Okay. Now I'm gonna push it. Okay. Merge. Okay, the push has been done. Now let's go to the code. See that there. Homework 4. Okay, the calculate bit, math equation everywhere. Everything is here. Homework 3. Math equation. Good. Everything is here too. So what I need to mention now is that you see that how I use all of the knowledge that we went through from the first lecture till here, okay? So it's very important that you build up your knowledge according to your previous knowledge. If you don't use your previous, the knowledge that you have, what's the use of it? If you just, okay, this is in the books. It's not in the books, it's important to use all of these techniques. So you see how I code so minimized? It's because I'm just doing it in like the best practices, I didn't devise it myself. This is something that exists in the outside world. So you should learn how to code like this. If you want to be a developer, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a computer scientist, this is the basics. Everything after this will be something more than this. You need this principle. You cannot say that I'm a computer scientist, but I don't know how to program. So do not let the people make fun of the computer scientist people. It's very important to know how to program. This is the first steps. So we see many of the other engineers know how to program, and we see many of our graduate students don't know how to. Like, you are going to be graduated, and then you are going to go for an internship, So you can just take me as an example. I never go to an internship. I just went to a real job. Why? Because I didn't need it. It was an offer, and they offered me, okay, we will pay you like this, and you don't need to do an internship. So I hope that everyone in this class will have the same future if you want to build your future in the programming or development. So this is all about the homework 4. Do you have any question about how I developed these parts, or it's all clear? Okay. It seems that everyone did it in the right way. Good. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you. That was pretty helpful today.
Okay, of course. I think this was a good lecture for you, because your next homework, again, this homework that you are in, is going to use this homework assignment 4, and you have this now. I think it's like the exception handling part, isn't it? Let me check it. So this homework is for the data types. Yep, actually it's for the data types. It's easier. It's just making a factory engine for your calculator. It's very easy. No, it's not so hard. It's just using the string and string builders. If you go through the string builder lecture, you will do it in a very easy way. Easy way. You can just develop it so easily. So I think it's enough for this lecture. If you have any question about this homeworks or other lectures, I'm here for you. Otherwise, the class is dismissed. Okay, please make sure that you upload your homework 3 and your homework 4 in GitHub, and make sure that you put the one in your attendance sheet. And okay, everything is good today, I think.
Can you link the attendance sheet?
Can I what?
Link the attendance sheet so I can edit my thing.
I got you.
Are you doing that, Kelly?
Yeah, I got you. I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, have a good one. Have a good night.
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 Good night, Professor.
Bye.